All right, guys, so this right here is absolutely crazy. I could not wait to share this with you. So we have some new numbers coming in about party affiliation. And let's just say that this is like an absolute nightmare. This is a horror show for MAGA. Because the same thing you're feeling, the same thing I'm feeling, the same thing we talk about every day, this is reverberating throughout the country. And people are fucking fed up. And these numbers show that, so watch this.
New polling just out was really eye-popping to me.
It was shocking to me, John, and it comes down to party identification. Do you identify as a Democrat or as a Republican? And traditionally speaking, this is a metric that has been quite telling of elections, and we'll get into that a little bit. Party ID margin, Dem versus Republicans. Specifically, I'm talking about Gallup. Back in Q1 of 2025, it was a tie. Look at how much Democrats have gained on this metric, according to Gallup. Their latest metric, Democrats are ahead by 7 points. That is a 7-point movement to the left.
Bro, that's insane. Do you understand? We're talking about a really short time frame here, a really short time frame. And it went from party affiliation being tied 50-50 to now Democrat plus 7. You do understand what that means, right? It means people are following what's happening. People are looking at what Trump is doing. People are sick of the madness that we're witnessing. That's what that means. That's what that means. To go from dead tied to plus 7 Democrat is sort of like apocalyptic for Republicans. It's so bad that in order for them to win in the next election, they would have to actually, like old school, steal the shit. Not just the little, the tricks around the edges type shit. Not just the little nip and tuck, like finger on the scale, thumb on the scale. No, it would you'd have to actually like old school rig it. Like, with numbers like this, it could be a too big to rig type election. So the gerrymandering alone might not be enough. Might not be enough. If this holds, and that's the sort of trouble that they're in right now.
Well, to see if there was similar movement among Quinnipiac, it was +1 Republican. And you can see, again, movement to the left, Democrats +3. Last year, going into the 2024 presidential election, that was the rare time in which Republicans actually held a lead in Gallup's party ID measure. That Republican lead is no more. Adios, amigos.
Now, remember, when that happened, there was 1,000 stories I saw. I'm sure you saw them too. That for the first time ever in the history of polling, that Democrats lost their advantage and Republicans held an advantage for party ID. So in other words, more people were describing themselves as Republicans than Democrats. That never happens. Because remember, Republicans typically have a built-in advantage with the Electoral College, right? And so they don't even need to have as many voters to win. I mean, Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes. The popular vote and ended up losing. Al Gore won the popular vote, ended up losing the Electoral College. And so they can win with less, basically. But that was the first time ever in polling that it was like, no, you actually have more voters on the Republican side. Now that's totally changed, and nobody's going to talk about it. We're talking about it here. CNN's doing this segment, but you're not going to see. There were like 40 fucking articles I saw when it was Republicans now hold an advantage for party ID. And now there's not going to be the same number of articles saying, oh, now that's all gone and then some. They're not going to do that. Total bias to cover that and not cover this.
Now Democrats ahead by 7 points, at least according to Gallup.
And this is when pollsters call and ask you for your party. Basically, this is self-reporting of what party you're in. And now you're seeing this 7-point swing in what people are saying in this. And historically, what does that mean?
Yeah, okay. What does it matter when Democrats have a lead on party ID at this particular point in midterm cycles? Well, I want you to take a look back at some past midterm cycles. Okay, right now we got the Democrats ahead by 7. You go back 4 years ago, the Democrats were only ahead by 1 point. This doesn't look anything like what we had at this point going into the 2022 midterm cycle. It looks much more like what we had going into the 2018 midterm cycle, in which Democrats were ahead by 4 points. They're actually doing better at this point than they...
Bro. The 2018 cycle was a massive W for Democrats. They had a huge win. In that cycle, they were +4. Right now, they're +7. Right now, they're +7. And again, I want to reiterate this. This is with Democrats saying nothing and doing nothing. This is with Democrats hiding under their desk and letting people like me and fucking Midas Touch and others we rail against Trump. We cover everything happening every day and fight on it. They're nowhere to be found. And they're +7. Just imagine if they actually started sounding like me. They'd be fucking +14, dog. They'd be +14. This is so crazy. So they're doing better than 2018 right now.
We're doing during the 2018 cycle. If you average in the Quinnipiac, it's about the same. But at this particular point, what you're seeing is Democrats doing considerably better than they did back in the 2022 midterm cycle. And more than that, Democrats have been gaining throughout this year compared to what we saw back in the 2021 year, in which we saw Republicans gaining during the year. And what we've ended up with in Q3 is Democrats ahead by 7, much better than the position that they had going into 2022 when they were only ahead by 1 point in Q3 of 2021.
So 4 points was a good year for Democrats in 2018. 1 point was a bad year for Democrats in 2022. 2022. The number 7, where does that rank? What does that tell us?
Yeah,
about how
what is that? Exactly right. All right, so we have 2022 midterm, we have 2018 midterm. Now let's go all the way back. We'll jump in the DeLorean and essentially look at party ID advantages in midterms. When the GOP gains House seats, look at this. Democrats are ahead by only a point. When the Dems gain House seats, look at this. Democrats are ahead by 8 points. Democrats are up by 7 right now. If this 7-point lead holds in the next year and averages out next year in 2026, Democrats plus 7, there is no historical precedent for Republicans actually gaining House seats. The Democrats gain it every year. That looks like what Gallup shows right now.
Yeah, again, and this number right here for Democrats may be one of the better numbers they've seen in some time.
And again, that's with them not saying shit, not doing shit, hiding in the background, sitting in the cuck chair. They're not doing shit, bro. They're not doing shit. Plus 7. Imagine if they fought. Imagine if they were all in fighting the illegal bombings of Venezuelan fishermen. Imagine they were all in screaming about the Epstein files on a daily basis, screaming about Trump's corruption and him robbing his own supporters, scamming his own supporters with a shit coin. Imagine they talked about that. Imagine they talked about the fucking dumbass trade war, which is skyrocketing prices, inflation through the fucking roof, unemployment's going up. Imagine they talked about the fucking self-dealing, the endless self-dealing, the fucking ICE Gestapo thugs in the concentration camp. The camps, plural. Imagine. Again, it would be plus 14. So this is just Republicans collapsing under the weight of their own bullshit. Which, I mean, guys, this tells me people are following stuff enough to know that they hate what they see. I think a lot of it is, honestly, inflation. I think a lot of it is people go to the grocery store and they're like, what the fuck? I thought Trump was going to bring down prices. What the fuck? That's a big deal. I do think maybe the Epstein files also contributed to that. That it's very clear Trump's hiding the Epstein files because he's in the Epstein files and people aren't stupid. So I think that's a big part of it too. And I think people are going to get slapped in the face even harder as soon as a lot of these provisions in the big bullshit bill, as soon as they hit, oh my God, Republicans are cooked. We're talking about adding $4 trillion to the debt and the deficit. We're talking about cutting taxes for the wealthy and raising taxes on the working class. We're talking about cutting Medicaid $800 billion, which kicks 17 million people off healthcare, raises out-of-pocket costs, reduces coverage for poor people and disabled people. That, like, nightmare scenario. As soon as that happens, like, and they put like a honeymoon period in there, a waiting period where it's like, okay, we're going to pass this, but it really kicks in like a few years down the road. Wait until those cuts actually hit. 3 million people kicked off food stamps, no more free school lunch and free school breakfast for kids, taking away the Obamacare subsidies, cutting Medicare, killing the wind projects and the solar projects, hundreds of thousands of jobs that Trump just blew up like nothing. This is crazy. This is fucking crazy. All the while, self-dealing, billions for the Golden Dome, which is just a slush fund for the military-industrial complex and Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. This is crazy what we're looking at. And so it's catching up. It's all catching up. But again, what I would say to Democrats is I really hate the mindset of like, let's say nothing, let's do nothing, let's let them fall apart. Yes, they're going to fall apart, but they'd fall apart faster and you'd be way more popular if you aided and abetted in that, right? If you actually went to town and grabbed some fucking brass knuckles, metaphorically, and started swinging. So, do that. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.